Okay, so now we're in Illustrator, and I like to use Illustrator to create a lot of my book covers because you can always glue on the cover after you've created your book and bound it. The only time when I don't really do this is when I'm creating a saddle stitch book. You know, like zines and magazines tend to be sort of saddle stitched. In that case, usually I just create the cover within InDesign and then print it all together because the size of the cover is actually the same size as all of the other pages. But because of the way that a French fold book works, and I'm assuming you guys are still making French fold books, it's much easier to bind all of your pages together, measure the width of the spine, and then adjust your cover so then it fits that perfectly. So this is, I guess, the way we found the easiest to make books. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this rectangle tool, and I'm just going to click. So this will open up this little rectangle panel, and what I'm going to do is type 5.5 inches here and 8.5 on the other one, and this is just the size of one page. So this pops up. So I'm going to duplicate this once and just make sure they're aligned. To make this a little bit easier on me, I'm just going to make this a nicer color. So this side would be your front cover, and this side will be your back cover. Because when you actually wrap this piece of paper around your book, the right side will end up on the front and then the left side will end up on the back. Oh, also this artboard is at a tabloid size, so it's 17 by 11 inches. And the reason why I did that is because normally you would print on a tabloid sheet of paper. I don't know what the situation is now, I'm sorry. Okay, so then now that you've got these two things, what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate either one again, and this will be your spine. You don't know how wide your spine is going to be until you actually print out your book and bind it. And this might be a little bit hard to visualize just because maybe some of you guys have never bound books before. I don't know what your expertise is, but essentially with a French fold book, what you would do is fold all these pieces of paper, and the part where you actually folded the sheet of paper would be on the outside, and the two edges of the piece of paper would be where you glue. So all of the, I guess, open sides of your book, not where you folded, the other side would be glued together and then bound together. So the binding is just this layer of glue that seals everything together, and then because of the way that the glue works, it solidifies in sort of like this rubbery material, so it's flexible, but it's also very strong and it seals all the pages together. The glue has a physical, solid existence, which is why you can't just measure all the pages stacked together and then measure your spine. You would actually have to measure the width of the glue as well. That being said, in the past, people have made mock-up books with the same amount of pages, with the same paper, all those things, and have been able to get a pretty accurate estimate of how wide their spine will be. But also just know that the way that this project works, we don't really give you a limit on how many pages you have to have in your book, just a minimum. If you go up to 40 pages, it'll have a different width than people who are at 32. So this will be the spine, and it'll be like this. Basically, when you're designing your cover, you're going to work in a system like this, designing each part. And then when you figure out what the width of your spine is, you will adjust this to whatever that thing is. So for example, I have a good feeling it's going to be around 0.4 inches or something. And then whenever you figure out how wide your spine is, you'll just move all of these together. So then, it fits perfectly. Let's just say we want a blue spine and the two front covers are going to be red. Something that I would also recommend you to do on this is take everything and group it. So I just hit Command G and then go to Object and then hit Create Trim Marks. Creating trim marks like this will allow you to be able to print this out without worrying about the size of whatever your object is. You could adjust these to even include a bleed. You would just crop it out like that. But for now, before, you guys are even getting to the printing process. Basically, you just want to set up your file as something like this in order to make sure that your spine is adjustable for when you bind your book. So just like normal, you would hit Command S and you could save this in here. We can name this book cover and then save it. And then you would be able to come back to this at any time. So I believe this is the end of our type demo. There are probably different functions of type that will come up in the next few lessons, so we might jump back into this. But I will say, now that you guys know Illustrator and hopefully are pretty comfortable with it, there is a lot less to teach in InDesign and just a lot of you guys needing to go into there and try and figure things out. As usual, ask if you have questions, make sure you're getting those things resolved. This project is a little bit more difficult than the LA Contrast postcard one, in my opinion, just because, a book is a little bit larger of a project, but I will just try and give you the advice of not making more work for yourself. Really use the elements that you already have from your postcards and then rework them in a way and use a really comfortable system for yourself so you're able to sort of get your money's worth out of your postcards and make your life easier for the book. You already have all the stuff, you just need to play with it and rearrange it so then it works as a book. Well, that's basically it for this video. So good luck with your books. I hope you guys have a little bit fun with InDesign. I find it to be a really fascinating and powerful tool. I hope you guys have a safe and healthy week, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Bye!